I can disprove the entire Christian Trinity in 30 seconds. The doctrine says the Son is God, the Father is God, and the Holy Spirit is also God. But the Father is not the Spirit, and the Spirit's not the Son. And it's actually one God, not three. Now right here, this is a complete contradiction. This is very obviously three people, and three people cannot equal one God. Okay, so now the Trinity is not making much sense.
This video goes from a half-decent representation of Trinitarian orthodoxy to a nonsensical strawman very quickly. Let's talk about the main point he makes in this video. To call this a contradiction seems to suggest that a belief in the Trinity violates the law of non-contradiction when it doesn't. Theologian and philosopher Norman Geisler explains, quote, "The philosophical law of non-contradiction informs us that something cannot be both true and false at the same time and in the same sense. This is the fundamental law of all rational thought, and the doctrine of the Trinity does not violate it." He then goes on to explain why the law of non-contradiction isn't violated in Trinitarian orthodoxy. He puts this in terms of the law by stating, while God is one and many at the same time, he is not one and many in the same sense, meaning that a belief in the Trinity properly represented does not violate the law of non-contradiction. And to this, our friend might respond, well, how can you say that the Father is God and that the Son is God and that they aren't each other? In order to understand why, it is important to understand the person's essence distinction. When Christians say that the Father, Son, and Spirit are God, they are making a predicative statement, not an identity statement. What does that mean? An is of identity statement would be something like Clark Kent is Superman. We are saying that they are the same person. When we say that the Father, Son, and Spirit are God, we are not doing that. We are using an is of predication in order to attribute a property to the subject. For example, Clark Kent is noble doesn't mean that Clark Kent can be used interchangeably with the word noble in the same way that Clark Kent could be used interchangeably with the word Superman. There are plenty of other noble people in the world, but there are no other Clark Kents. He just exemplifies that property. It is in this sense that we say Jesus is God. We are not saying that the person of Christ is identical to the essence of God. We are attributing what it means to be God to Jesus. This is an oversimplification, of course, but it gets the general idea across. We do this because Jesus shares fully in the undivided divine essence along with the Father and the Spirit. So our friend makes a category error here. The persons of the Trinity are not separate beings like you and I just because they are distinct persons. They are inseparable and completely unified, unlike us. Person and being are not actually identical categories when we talk about God. You and I have a 1-to-1 ratio. One being per person. God is not like that, nor should we expect him to be. And just because something isn't easy to understand in a 30-second clip or on the surface level, it doesn't mean that it is illogical or irrational. Glory to the triune God.